Welcome to the channel. My name is PGP. Welcome. And today we're going to be talking about Switch Online versus the Evercade and why the Evercade just curbs on Nintendo. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of people in this comments here going, "Wait, what? Why? What do you mean an Evercade beats Nintendo?" Well, let me explain. First of all, right, obviously, as we know, Switch Online launched in 2018, and they've slowly been adding a slew of games to the service every few months, or in the case of recently, they're adding one major game a month. Which, okay, cool. You're doing what you're doing. You're bringing some games over, cool. Now, what we need to take into account is when you look at the platforms. First of all, that both systems emulate. Well, both services. Well, I say platforms. Switch Online is a subscription service. The Evercade emulates, several Atari consoles, the Intellivision, the PlayStation 1, several Nintendo consoles and handhelds, and the Sega Mega Drive. Whilst comparing that to, as well as arcade games, and comparing it to the Switch Online, you've got NES, Super Nintendo, N64, and Mega Drive. Now, I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I would like N64 games on Evercade. However, considering the control scheme of the system, I don't think that's going to be possible. Whilst with Switch Online, it took them years to actually get N64 games on it, and in order to get them, you need to pay an extra month on top of the monthly fee you pay for the standard Switch Online. You got to pay for the expansion pack. Same with Mega Drive games. And with Mega Drive games, right? Let's just go to chase. Mega Drive games on Switch Online are mostly Sega games, and while Sega is great, and this is the Sega Mega Drive, they could do more. They could really do a lot more to expand that, because companies like Blaze were able to get games like Midnight Resistance, and that Renovation Collection is coming out soon. Those games came out on the Mega Drive, and Nintendo's not been able to get them. And we all know, like, Adia who owns the Renovation license and whatnot now, have been re-releasing their games. They've been re-releasing the Renovation games, like Gyros and Valus. So I'm surprised that Nintendo seems to have a hard time doing that. And also, when it comes to the games on Switch Online, most of the best games are the Nintendo first-party games. So you weren't going to get them on another platform. You're not going to get Mario Bros. On the Evercade. But with Evercade, they've also embraced indie games and games that are actually quite forgotten. One of the best games, in my opinion, on the Evercade is Water Margin, which is a beat 'em up from Pico Interactive. Well, a game that Pico Interactive owns the rights to now, because they've obviously bought the IP from a company that went out of business. And that's a big thing you got to realise with these companies, guys, is Evercade's doing a lot more when it comes to game preservation and getting games that people aren't going to think of when they think of the Mega Drive or the Super Nintendo. But they're also getting games that they do. Because one of the companies that has put several games on the Evercade is Codemasters. We had the Oliver Twins collection, which was Codemasters games, including Dizzy, Dreamworld Poggy, and a bunch of others. Then we also had the Codemasters collection, which was games like what was it? CJ's Elephant Athletics, Super Skid Marks, and a bunch of other games like that. They may not be a cup of tea, but hey, we got them. We got the games, and there were like 17 games on the Codemasters collection, which is quite a lot. It's one of the most full carts when you compare the cart numbers, or number of games on the carts. And also, another big dig against Switch Online in this situation is the collectability, because you can't collect Switch Online. And as we've seen with the Nintendo eShops on the Wii U and 3DS recently, as well as the Wii Shop channel a few years ago, they're going to close down eventually. Nintendo's going to stop supporting these older platforms. So, those games that you bought digitally, you may not even be able to access soon. Or, in the case of Switch Online, when Nintendo releases the successor to the Switch, the next big console, how long till Switch Online shuts down? How long till that library you've licensed to play, the classic Nintendo N64 and NES, Super Nintendo, Mega Drive games, how long till they just gone, vanish? You can't access them anymore. You can't pay them the monthly fee. You can't buy most of the games on Switch anyway, because Nintendo just doesn't want to do Virtual Console. And they're not releasing physical editions, but if you want to get a physical edition of like Namco games or Capcom games or something like that. You can on Switch, but not the first party Nintendo games. Not the games Nintendo actually put on Switch Online in a lot of cases, which is kind of bad and it kind of sucks because once those servers go offline, that library goes with it. Now, and also Evercade, one big thing that it's got working for it is nostalgia value. You know, people, as we've seen over the pandemic, people want nostalgia, and when people were locked at home, they bought more entertainment, they bought more games, they bought more movies. All this stuff went up because people wanted more of it, and the more games that are given to a consumer, it's better. Plus, if you're a collector, all the cartridges are numbered. There's arcade games now, and Evercade has about 300 games in its library, including games from Namco, Atari, Dataease, Interplay, games of indie studios like the Xenocrisis Tanglewood collection, Indie Hero, and the Mega Cat Studios collections, as well as games that I've seen and we've gotten thanks to Pico thanks to Pico Interactive. And you don't get that with Switch Online. Switch Online is about 130 games in total, and most of the big ones are Nintendo games. Now the big problem with that is, I guess, a Nintendo platform, but Nintendo took years to add games like Earthbound to Switch Online, and they're still missing games like Super Mario RPG. And they've been having such a slow rollout of their games and their classic games to Switch Online. It makes you feel like it's not even worth subscribing to. If you're a fan of classic Zelda games, there's a few on there. There's obviously most of the, I think it's all the NES ones. I think they got some. I think there was some on Super Nintendo that they've got, and then they've got like one or two on N64 at the time of me recording this. But that's the thing, is one big thing that's missing is Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. There's no Virtual Boy stuff on there, which was only like 13 games anyway. And there's no GameCube or anything like that, which for people who want to, for a lot of people, Switch Online is not really a decent value for money because they want to have access to this collection of just so many classic games from so many different companies as well as Nintendo. You don't get that. Also, the Evercade's a lot more niche, where you can you don't subscribe, but you can buy the handheld, or you can buy the console, and basically all the cartridges bar Namco ones work across both. And yeah, they have games from all sorts. They have Pac-Man, they have Burger Time, they have several different games in the Double Dragon franchise. They have indie games like Arcus Revolution and Coffee Crisis and whatnot, and Flea, and you can't get a lot of these games on Switch Online because Nintendo hasn't licensed them, and that's sort of a big thing on why I put Evercade over Switch Online. Like, I know I've made videos in the past saying about Switch Online is great. It's mediocre to me now. I don't feel like it matches its competitors, but when it comes to like the retro game aspect of it, the Switch Online is just failing so far because they're not adding enough games. They're not announcing enough games for the service either. And when it comes to the actual library games, it's just they're missing so many heavy hitters. Like, I know they're probably Castlevania and Contra and whatnot, but they're still missing so many heavy hitters like Super Mario RPG. It's kind of disappointing to see. And with Evercade, we know they're going to get what they can get. They're going to go and get whatever games they can get, whatever was going to find an audience on the platform. So, to me, Evercade is a better option, especially if you want to collect the games, and preserve them in your collection. Because you can't collect a digital download, and you can't collect a streaming service. Anyway, guys, what do you think? What do you think is the better option? Do you think Switch Online is better, or do you think Evercade is better, and why? Leave it in the comments below. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I did do a check. Apparently 98% of my audience isn't subscribed to my channel. So if you do see this video and you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Subscribe. I'm trying to get 100 subs by the end of the month, and any support is appreciated. I've been PGP, and I'm signing off. Peace.